The missing girl knew every camper's name, but when she called mine from beneath cabin 6, I realized she wasn't asking to be rescued. She was waiting for someone to take her place. For 3 summers, I worked as the night groundskeeper at a remote summer camp in northern Maine. The camp stood beside a narrow lake surrounded by miles of dense forest. During the day, it was peaceful. The lake reflected the sunlight, children filled the paths, and the cabins felt warm and welcoming. But after dark, the entire place seemed to change. Once the campers were asleep, I patrolled the grounds alone. I checked the cabins, locked the equipment sheds, and made sure no one had wandered down to the lake. Most nights were eventful. Then, during my final summer, a 12-year-old camper named Caleb reported something strange. Caleb was staying in cabin 6, the most isolated cabin in the camp. Behind it was an old forest trail that had been closed years earlier after a storm destroyed part of the path. Caleb told his counselor that he had awakened during the night to the sound of a woman whispering his name outside the window. At first, he thought it was one of the counselors. Then the voice asked him to come outside. Caleb hid beneath his blanket and refused to answer. A few minutes later, the voice moved to the opposite side of the cabin and began calling another camper's name. Everyone assumed the older kids were playing a prank, so I was asked to watch cabin 6 more closely. That night, I inspected the cabin several times. Its door was locked, every window was closed, and the ground outside appeared untouched. At around 2 in the morning, I started walking back toward the maintenance office. That was when I heard a child's voice behind me. "Wait for me." I turned around, expecting to find a camper standing on the path. No one was there. I swept my flashlight across the trees, but the forest looked completely empty. Then the voice called again, "Wait for me." This time, it came from much deeper in the woods. I stepped off the path and followed the sound just far enough to find a small bare footprint pressed into the mud. Another appeared several feet ahead, then another. The prints formed a trail leading deeper into the forest. But when I looked closely, I noticed something that made me stop. Every footprint pointed back toward the camp. Whoever had made them had been walking backward into the woods, and whatever was waiting out there wanted me to follow. I returned to the maintenance office and called the camp director. Together, we checked every cabin. All the campers were accounted for, and none of them had dirt or mud on their feet. The director claimed the tracks had probably been made by an animal. I knew they looked human, but I didn't argue. For the rest of the night, I remained close to cabin 6. Nothing else happened. The following morning, Caleb refused to leave his cabin. When his counselor finally convinced him to step outside, Caleb immediately pointed toward the trees. Why is she still standing there? Everyone looked toward the forest, but none of us saw anyone. Caleb insisted that a girl was hiding behind a tree. He described her as being around 10 years old,
wearing a dirty white nightgown. Her long black hair covered her face, and her feet were completely bare. His parents were contacted, and they arrived that afternoon to take him home. Before he left, Caleb quietly approached me. His face was pale, and he kept glancing over my shoulder toward the woods. I asked him if he was all right. He leaned closer and whispered something I didn't tell anyone at the time. "The girl knows your name too." Over the next few nights, nothing unusual happened. I began wondering if Caleb's fear had affected me more than I realized. Maybe the voice had been an animal. Maybe the footprints had only looked human in the darkness. Then the campers began finding things outside their cabins. The first was a bracelet woven from grass and strands of human hair. Someone had placed it carefully on the steps of cabin 6. The following morning, a pile of small animal bones appeared outside cabin 3. 2 days later, one of the counselors found a child's white nightgown hanging from a tree beside the lake. The fabric was soaking wet. Nobody at the camp recognized it. That was when the director finally contacted the police.
The police searched the camp, but found no evidence that anyone had entered the grounds. They suggested installing trail cameras around the cabins and along the closed forest path. We mounted 6 cameras near the sleeping areas and 2 more along the old trail. For several days, the recordings showed nothing unusual, only deer, raccoons, and counselors walking between buildings. Then one of the cameras disappeared. It had been secured high on a tree near cabin 6. The strap had not been cut or broken. Someone had carefully unfastened it and left it lying beneath the tree. The camera itself was gone. That night, I was ordered to remain near cabin 6. I parked a utility cart beside the building and waited with my flashlight and radio. Shortly after midnight, I heard 3 slow knocks from inside the cabin. I approached the door and asked the counselor if everything was all right. He opened it and assured me that every child was asleep. As he started closing the door, the sound returned. 3 slow knocks. But this time, we both realized they weren't coming from inside the room. They were coming from beneath the floor. Cabin 6 stood about 2 feet above the ground on concrete supports. The space underneath was narrow, but still large enough for someone to crawl through. I told the counselor to lock the door and keep the children inside. Then I knelt and aimed my flashlight beneath the cabin. At first, I saw nothing. Then the beam landed on a patch of pale skin behind one of the concrete supports. Someone was lying underneath the building. I ordered them to come out. The figure suddenly crawled away so quickly that I dropped my flashlight. I heard fingernails scraping through the dirt as it disappeared deeper beneath the cabin. I radioed the director and told him to call the police. As I circled the building, I could hear the figure moving underneath me. It wasn't trying to escape. It was following me. Then a young girl laughing beneath my feet. Before I could move, a freezing hand reached out and grabbed my ankle. I kicked wildly until the hand released me. By the time I stood up, the movement beneath the cabin had stopped. The entire forest had gone silent. The director arrived with 2 counselors, followed shortly afterward by the police. They searched beneath cabin 6 but found no person, no footprints, and no possible escape route. They did, however, find the missing trail camera. It was sitting in the dirt directly beneath the center of the cabin. We carried it to the main office and checked its memory card. Most of the footage was ordinary. Then we reached the final recordings. The first showed the closed forest trail just after 3 in the morning. For several minutes, nothing moved. Then a young girl entered the frame. She appeared to be around 10 years old. She wore a white nightgown, and her bare feet were covered in mud. Her long, dark hair concealed almost all of her face. She stopped directly in front of the camera and remained perfectly still. After nearly a minute, she slowly lifted her head. One eye became visible through her hair. She raised a finger to her lips, warning whoever watched the recording to remain silent. Then she reached toward the camera. The screen went black. The final video had somehow been recorded beneath cabin 6. The camera never captured anyone carrying it there. In the footage, the girl lay in the dirt, staring directly into the lens. Above her, we could hear the floorboards creaking as the children moved in their sleep. Then she began whispering names. One after another, she said the names of every child sleeping inside the cabin. The final name she whispered was mine. The police searched the forest until sunrise, but they found no sign of the girl. Cabin 6 was closed, and the campers were moved to another building. The director still believed someone was trying to frighten us. I desperately wanted him to be right. A few days later, a severe storm reached the camp. Heavy rain flooded the trails, while powerful winds tore branches from the trees. The campers were gathered inside the main lodge as the counselors checked the remaining cabins. I was securing equipment near the lake when my radio suddenly crackled. A child's voice came through the speaker. "Wait for me." I contacted the director, but he confirmed that none of the campers had access to a radio. Then the voice returned. This time it said my name. After a few seconds of static, it ordered me to go to cabin 6. I should have stayed near the lodge. Instead, I convinced myself that someone might be trapped or injured. When I reached cabin 6, its front door was standing wide open. I knew it had been locked. I aimed my flashlight inside. Muddy rainwater covered the floor, and the empty beds creaked in the wind. At the opposite end of the room stood the girl. Her back was turned toward me. She slowly raised one arm and pointed toward the center of the cabin. The rug had been pulled aside, revealing an open trap door. I had worked at the camp for 3 years and never known it existed. The girl descended the wooden stairs and vanished underground. I radioed the director before cautiously approaching the opening. A narrow staircase led into complete darkness. From somewhere below, several children began whispering my name. At the bottom was an old dirt tunnel. Deep scratches covered its walls, and rotting wooden beams supported the ceiling. My flashlight revealed a pile of abandoned belongings: shoes, bracelets, camp shirts, faded name tags. Some appeared recent, others looked as if they had been buried for decades. Among them was the missing trail camera, even though the police had already taken it into evidence. Then a voice whispered behind me, "You found us." I turned around and saw the girl standing between me and the cabin door. Her hair no longer covered her face. Her skin was gray and swollen, as though she had been submerged in the lake for years. Dirt filled the corners of her mouth, and one of her eyes was completely black. She smiled. Then the trapdoor slammed shut beneath me. I fell down the stairs and landed hard inside the tunnel. My flashlight rolled across the dirt before stopping several feet away. Its beam illuminated dozens of small bare feet standing around me. The rest of the children remained hidden in the darkness. Whispers filled the tunnel. Some of the children begged me to help them. Others warned me to be quiet because she would hear us. Then the staircase creaked. The girl was coming down. I grabbed my flashlight and ran deeper into the tunnel. Behind me, I heard her crawling through the dirt, moving far faster than any human should have been able to move. The passage became narrower, forcing me to duck beneath broken support beams. Her laughter echoed through the darkness, sometimes behind me and sometimes directly ahead. Eventually, the tunnel divided into two passages. I chose the one on the right and kept running. The ground suddenly collapsed beneath my feet. I fell through wet branches and landed outside in the mud. The hidden tunnel had led to a hollow beneath an uprooted tree. I ran toward the lodge without looking back. The director and two counselors found me halfway there. I was soaked, injured, and barely able to explain what had happened. We returned to cabin 6 together. The door was locked. When we entered, the rug was back in its original position. The trapdoor had vanished. Beneath the rug was nothing but solid wooden flooring. After the storm, the police searched the area again. They found the opening beneath the uprooted tree, but the tunnel had collapsed. Excavation crews were called to investigate. What they uncovered finally revealed the truth about Cabin 6. Beneath the collapsed tunnel, the excavation team discovered old camp belongings and fragments of human bone. Historical records revealed that another summer camp had operated on the same land almost 70 years earlier. During a violent storm, one of its cabins had collapsed into an abandoned drainage tunnel. A counselor and 7 children disappeared that night. Only 6 bodies were ever recovered. One young girl was never found. The modern camp had been built over the same location, and Cabin 6 stood almost directly above the old drainage system. The cabin was demolished before the following summer. The camp remained open, but I never returned. For months, I tried convincing myself that the nightmare was over. I moved away, found another job, and avoided speaking about what happened. Then, one afternoon, a package arrived from the camp director. It contained several belongings I had left behind. At the bottom of the box was my old radio. I placed it inside my bedroom closet and tried to forget about it. That night, I woke to the sound of static. It was coming from inside the closet. I opened the door and found the radio switched on. A weak green light glowed above its speaker. I picked it up and opened the battery compartment. It was completely empty. The static suddenly stopped. For several seconds, there was only silence. Then, the girl's voice whispered through the radio. She said my name, and in the same quiet voice I had first heard in the woods, she told me she was still waiting for me.